you introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Otto Wallace, UTJLWALLACE.
And
Microphone just a little bit up. Sometimes it picks up your breathing, but
I'm good right here.
get close. Thank you.
Otho, where did you grow up?
I was born in Gainesville. Later, I moved to Daytona Beach, Volusia County. Then I stayed in DeLand for a while and moved to Broward County. Then I moved back to Daytona.
And back on June 23rd of 2021, where were you living?
I was living in Daytona Beach,
And what was the address?
133 Kingston.
Okay. Now, were you working at that time?
Yes, I was.
Where were you working?
At the McDonald's off of Bevel Road in Daytona Beach.
All right. And back on June 23rd of 2021, did you work that day?
Yes, I did.
And what were your hours that day?
I was to open, so I went in about a little after 4:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and got off shortly after 3:30, between 3 and 4.
And after you got off work, what did you do?
I drove home as I always do.
And then did you stay at home the rest of the night, or what did you do?
Well, when I got home, I took a shower. I had to go see my other kids. I have 4 kids that reside in the Volusia County area, 2 that were where I was living, and 2 lived with them. My other kid's mom lived over in Deltona, so I had to go to see them in Deltona, and I was just trying to split the time, share my time with all my kids.
And I probably should ask you, who all lived with you at 133 Kingston Ave?
My 2 daughters, should I say their name?
You don't have to.
My 2 daughters and my girlfriend at the time, Taisha.
And how long were you out seeing your other children?
I had left after I took a shower, so it was after like 4:30 or 5 maybe, and then I didn't come back until like a little after 8:30.
All right, and you've seen everything, that the video and everything, and obviously you were there, but when you got home, back to your apartment, what were you doing in your vehicle?
I was just sitting in my vehicle. I was listening to music. I had taken a phone call, and I just went back to listening to music and just relaxing and smoking my cigar.
Were you ever aware of a vehicle pulling into the parking lot area?
I noticed lights because I was just sitting there, and it was fairly dim in the parking lot in the back at that time. So I was just sitting there, and I noticed the lights, and I didn't notice the vehicle just about until it was in front of me, like in front of my car.
Would it be safe to say you were preoccupied with what you were doing?
Yeah, I was just minding my business. I was
And at some point, did you notice Jason Rayner walking towards your vehicle?
I noticed the individual with a flashlight. I didn't know it was Jason Rayner, but I did notice the flashlight, and it startled me a bit, and I was kind of like nervous and just caught off guard. So I was woke up to see what was going on.
And when you noticed the flashlight, where was it shining?
It was directly in my face. I was just about blinded from it.
From the time that you noticed the flashlight in your face to the time that Jason Rayner was at your vehicle, approximately how long did that take?
It was quick, like within seconds, almost I would say just about immediately.
And as Jason Rayner approached, what were you doing in your vehicle?
I had already opened my door because I was prepared to get out the car as I usually do to go in the house. So I was just gathering all my things. I basically had stuff on my lap, and I was just kind of collecting, overseeing the car before I get out and just getting ready to go in the house. I already had the door open.
And so you had one leg out and you were starting to stand up, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was in the motion of getting out of the car.
All right, and as you were getting out, did you see Jason Rayner in close proximity to you at that time?
As I was getting out, by the time I made it to stand up, he was like just about he was like in the car door, in the area of the car door, and making his way in between like the opening of the car and like me. You know what I mean?
And at that point, how did you feel when he was standing in that area, I guess?
Like I said, I was already like nervous and kind of surprised, a little shaken up because I didn't know who it was, and I'm not, used to nobody approaching me back there. So I was nervous and confused, a little like, caught off guard.
And how tall are you?
5'7".
And was Jason Rayner taller than you?
About 4 or 5 inches, yes, sir.
Now, when Jason Rayner was standing, I guess, between the car door and the car, did you feel at that time you were free to leave?
No, sir. It wasn't even space for me to leave at all.
But is that the only reason you didn't feel like you could leave is because of the space, or
No, I
was there
mean,
anything else?
I was shocked, and I realized, like, he's right there, so I couldn't move. I was locked in, and I was kind of like, going off, and what's going on with this situation?
Did you ever try to leave?
I did. When I stood up, I attempted to, like, kind of move around, but he was right there so close, I couldn't go anywhere. So that's at that point. Can I go back a little bit, kind of in the past? Okay, I went to I'm a licensed security guard in the state of Florida, so I had to take.
As a non-responsive to question.
Sustained.
Just why, I mean, I'd asked you about whether or not you felt you could leave or why you tried to leave.
Okay, well, I couldn't leave. He was standing in the doorway.
And how many times did you try to leave during this incident?
I made 3 efforts to walk away, and it happens very fast. But and I'll try to explain. But I made 3 efforts, and that I can remember.
And did you ever find out as to why you were put in between your car door and your car and unable to leave?
Now, I never got an answer as to why I wasn't able to leave.
And as far as Jason Rayner's actions, was he asking you questions or what was going on?
I recall him saying something to the effect of, "Hey, how's it going? Do you live here?" And I was just like, "What's going on?"
Was it really dark at that time, or was it just becoming dark?
It was newly becoming dark.
Right, and while you're put in between your car and the door, what was going through your mind?
Like I said, I was already confused and caught off guard by the unsuspected presence of him in between my door, way like all of a sudden. So I was beginning to get scared, and it like immediately he began to like put his arms on me and stuff. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have an answer to my question, so I was confused as to like what's taking place in this situation here.
Why didn't you just sit down as you were instructed?
I didn't know what was going on, and I wanted to know what was going on, but I also do know my rights, so I felt that I had the freedom to leave.
And why didn't you just tell him that you live there?
I asked him a question to try to figure out what was it, try to get some insight of the context of what's going on, and I thought that it was a fair question, being he's the law enforcement officer. So upon approach, I just asked what's going on. I never got an answer, but I just asked what's going on. I mean,
Was there ever any conversation between the two of you?
not besides my question and his demands. That was it.
And at what point did everything escalate?
It began to escalate at the point of when he started to put he had his hand on my shoulder, as you can see in the video, and when I made like an effort to kind of like shimmy my way between the space that I had to move and like where he had his hand, he put his other hand on my hand. That's when, like I say, I don't want to go into it, but I want to be able to explain why I held my forearm out. And that's something I learned in security school, is when you want to make distance with somebody or create a space to move, if like anybody have ever seen like celebrities walking through a crowd of people, they have bodyguards and they kind of walk through with their forearm out, not in like a way to like hit anybody or cause force, but if you bump into the forearm, it's a safe barrier to kind of create that space. So that's what I attempted to do when I just kind of like held my forearm out to get. If you look on the video, the door is open and he's standing there. So if I can hold my forearm out, I can create a space where I can maneuver, because I don't want to become physical with him. I'm just trying to kind of make my way out of this small space that I found myself in.
And at that point, were you fearful at all?
I was most definitely fearful because I didn't know what was going on. I hadn't had answers to my questions, and I was just trying to see like what's going to happen here. I never ever in my life been in that situation, and that was kind of like one of my worst fears, is being in a situation like that in the dark with no witnesses, nobody to see what's going on, and nothing to like really bring any awareness to the situation.
And, Your Honor, we're going to play the video, and then I was going to ask if the court would allow for Mr. Wallace to come down here. And
Okay, we know what the exhibit is you're playing?
it's 12, I think. 12.
It's the real-time video, Your Honor.
You may step down.
State's Exhibit 12.
How's it going? Do you live here?
What's going on?
Do you live here?
Why you asking? What's going on?
Sit down. Sit.
Sir.
Sit. Can you sit down? I'll talk to you. Stop.
Okay, come on now.
Sit.
Come on now.
Sit.
Don't do this.
Sit down.
Why you asking me, do
Sit
I
down.
live here?
Do you live here? Yes or no?
What's going on though?
Who? Charlie 777.
Nah, back up.
Stop. Stop, man.
If we could back it up. Okay, right here's a good spot. At this point here, you testified earlier that the light was in your eye.
Yes.
What's going on right here?
All right, in this particular situation is when I noticed the light, and I'm a little confused. Like I said, I'm not used to people coming up to me at this time of night, and I was kind of just like caught off guard and a bit like shaken up. So I'm starting to become aware of this presence, and it's garnering some type of emotion that would make me feel kind of scared. Like I was like,
Can we go to the point where the door is open? Okay, at this point right here, explain, I guess, where you are in relation to Mr. Rayner, because obviously we can't see him.
okay, well, just imagine like the hood of the car and the door in the driver's seat. At this point, I had just stood up. So when you get out of the car, you automatically turn sideways. It's like a normal motion. So as I'm getting up, I'm turning sideways. And he's basically right here. And that's when you can see his arm on my shoulder. And my hand, like, when I'm getting out of the car, my phone was on my lap, so it's kind of sliding down. And I'm always aware that I cracked many phones by just standing up. So I always like kind of grab whatever is on my lap, and that's what I was doing. And in the picture, that's how I checked my phone over.
And you said that his hand was on it. Was that just a soft touch, or was it a forceful touch, or what was going on?
This initial touch is what stopped my first effort to walk away. This is the first. If you see, okay, I can't really see. The screen is big. Can I take a step?
Yes.
Okay, so the screen is kind of big. So at this point, you can see. If you go back, you can see where my shoulders shifts. So I can't. Now I realize I don't have my freedom to walk away right here.
And
Sir.
Can you sit down?
That's what I was going to ask you. At that point, did you feel as though you were free to walk away?
No, I knew I wasn't, because the only way to walk away was to basically like go through him or go some way around him.
Can you go a little further?
Come on now. Come on now. Don't do this.
Sit down.
Why you asking me, do I live?
All right.
Okay, wait. We can't talk if the video is playing, and we can't both talk at the same time, okay? Only one thing at a time.
Let me ask the question. Go back just a little bit. And if you were unable to, in your mind, leave when there was one hand on your shoulder, how did you feel when the second hand was placed on your other shoulder?
It furthered my fear of what might take place between me and the individual at the time. If you look, he's holding my shoulder, like pushing me, basically pushing me, and then he shifted me back towards the way, which would kind of fought to the seat, or sit directly on the driver's seat. So that's kind of what's taking place in this,
Move forward.
in this frame.
Ask me, do I live here?
Do you live here? Yes or no?
What's going on though?
Radios.
777.
Nah, back up. man.
Okay, stop. Now, at that point, you hear him radio, you go to his radio, takes his left arm off you, and that's when you bring up your left forearm. And why at that point did you make a more concerted effort to leave?
Because for various amount of reasons, I hadn't had any answers to any of my questions. I'm scared as I can possibly be. There's no witnesses, so now I'm thinking that he's gonna call somebody else. So I don't know. I didn't do anything. I wasn't, breaking the laws. I had just been sitting there minding my business. So now it seems like there's about to be more people to come assist him with whatever he's finna do to me, and I don't know what's going on. Nobody has answered any of my questions. I'm 10 feet away from going into my apartment. I don't know what's going on, so that was my effort to be like, okay, now I have to become a little more assertive in my effort to walk away, and that's when I held my forearm out, which is kind of trying to make more sense.
All right, go up till it gets dark, so you can't see.
Stop.
Okay, now at this point, you really can't see what's going on from the video, right? How close were you and Jason Rayner at that point?
We was just about chest to chest, because he was pulling me towards him, and like we was kind of shifting and like kind of spinning around. It was basically if you grab somebody and you have a lock grip on them and you kind of shifting around, the space is so small, like there's nowhere really for us to go, so we just about chest to chest.
All right. Did you continue to try to get away from him?
I was pulling away as I'm like trying to, I'm not in like I'm not trying to get any closer. I'm pulling away the whole time. I'm trying to like pull away, but he got me by both hands just about, and that's how I'm like so close to him.
And that was going to ask, did he still have you with both of his hands?
Yeah, at some point, but then
And then at some point, were you able to get away from his right hand?
yes, I was.
And how did that happen?
Well, he like either lost, I'm not sure if he lost grip or just moved his hand, but when his hand did move, so like imagine this is my shoulder and like it's a pulling motion. So when his hand did move, he started to like make movements towards his waistband, and I was starting to look and try to like.
Well, let's go back a little. As you were trying to walk away just before it gets dark, where did he have a hold of you?
On my shoulder and my arm.
And when you say shoulder, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but now at this point, his hand is on my shoulder, but his grip is on my shirt, at the shoulder portion of my shirt. That's what I'm.
Was he pulling on your shirt?
Yes. Now in this frame, if I would have been able to walk away, it would have been like a motion like this. Like I can't really do it because I got a suit on, but it would have been more of a yoking type of motion. It would have been more. My head would have like been taken back by that motion.
Now, when we get forward again where it's dark, once he was released, when his right arm let go of you, what maneuver or what motion did you make at that point to try to get away?
So his right arm came off of me, but this is my shoulder. So if you reverse this position, it would it would be like this. So when he dropped his right arm, I kind of like tried to make an effort to duck under it, because if I could have got his right arm to go over my head, I would have been able to put him behind me, and then I would have created like that space of freedom to get away from him. or whatever was going on.
And then, did you notice anything when you ducked down to go under his arm?
Right. When I ducked down, he kind of like shake his elbow and was making a reaching motion towards his waistband. And that's, at that point, I was like, you know, something, this is not gonna go right for me. And I started like basically, like, there was a deep sense of fear that my most, you know what I mean, most, the thing that I feared the most was probably gonna happen to me right there.
So how, you said you saw his hand go towards his waistband?
Yes.
All right, and in response to that and your fear, what did you do?
That's when I like made an effort to get around, but when he moved, he still had, I can't really do it without extra body, but it's hard to. So his arm is on me, right? And I'm trying to get under it. Imagine this arm is on me. I'm trying to get under it. But his elbow goes like this, so I can't. But when I'm doing it, his right arm is making that motion. When he makes that motion, that's when I drew my firearm and I couldn't get under his arm, and I kind of ducked. When I ducked and I fired, the gun went off at like right at my ear, and that's when like he was in like a moving type of motion, and he fell backwards, and I like stumbled back as he lost his grip on my shoulder.
All right, and then,
Stop, man.
okay. And you hear you say something at the end. Do you recall what you said?
I was in like a state of adrenaline, so I was basically like, I think I said something like "get the fuck back" or something like that.
Okay. All right, you can sit back down. Yeah, we'll do that. Need a bathroom? Now, we've all seen those Instagram posts that came out in early June. Were they a part of your Instagram account?
Yes, it was.
And there's the one that references pig's blood. And you make reference to Minnie. What was that in response to?
The pig's blood statement was probably the stupidest decision I ever could have made when it comes to me venting to the things I was frustrated about. But at the time, there was a lot going on in our country. People, was getting killed, and it was unfortunate. Lots of unfortunate situations taking place. And I'm not sure if many of the jurors are familiar with social media, but I'm kind of one of those people that wear my heart on my sleeve when it comes to expressing myself on the internet. So a lot of times I get on there and just say stuff like meaninglessly, or just I'm one of those people that's quick to make comments about things. Whether it's true or not, I just cast my opinion. So that was kind of basically what was going on. But it was just a reflection of, what I was feeling and going through at the moment about what was taking place all over the country with these unfortunate incidents.
Can I get you to stop there? Disengage the computer from the screens.
Yeah, push the button. There we go.
Proceed.
All right, what about the post with regarding Johnny Bolton? What was this about?
The situation with Johnny Bolton is a guy that was killed by a SWAT team in Cobb County, Georgia, no knock warrant, and I felt really bad for the incident that took place. And again, like I say, I made a bunch of comments online about things taking place in the country, and that was one of those comments that I had made just out of frustration for what took place. I was feeling, much compassion and sentiment that his family was expressing online, and I was just saying stuff, just making my frustrations known in whatever way.
Were these posts in any way a manifesto for you? You know, like, this is what I'm going to carry out, this is what I'm going to do?
No, it was just things I said out of frustration because I'm just overly expressive sometimes.
If you could, would you have deleted those posts?
Yeah, but unfortunately I couldn't. I wasn't able to delete them. I do that often when I regret saying things or realize how stupid it was. I just delete it. It happens.
Was it ever your desire to have a run-in with law enforcement?
No, sir. No, sir.
What, you know, and again, you kind of explained, but what were these posts? Why were they there?
Like I say, there's a lot of content on my IG page, and I'm one of those people. Like I said, I'm very expressive or overly expressive, and I get upset or whatever. So sometimes I vent about things online, go to Instagram. I'm one of those people that make comments on YouTube, and whether you could call it trolling or not, or just an overly expressive person. But I'm kind of one of those people. So you'll find if you knew me or was on Instagram, it's my life, somebody else's life, or neighbors. I'm always just kind of just talking about things and just expressing my opinion. Just whether it's relevant or whether anybody can connect with it, I just do it. That's just something I do when I'm in my leisure time on social media. So I noticed that I have a few young jurors, but I'm not sure if y'all use social media or understand the use of it. But a lot of people tend to get online and just freely express themselves, whether it's relevant, whether people can connect. It's just something.
The narrative.
Sustained.
Sorry.
You're good. You're good. Later on, after this incident, there was an audio post. When was that posted?
Later on, as in
On June 23rd of 2021.
the post after the situation?
Yes.
Well, there was an audio recording, and I was just, again, being overly expressive about my frustration at the situation I had just found myself in, and I was just frustrated, and I was really in a state of panic, and I was kind of still in that adrenaline state where I thought that this is over with. There's no way in the world that I'm gonna get my last message out, because I was driving and I was expecting something to happen, like a pit maneuver or my car to be, stopped and shot up or something like that. So it was kind of a last ditch effort to get the message to anybody that was on my social media.
Okay. That night, were you hoping, or were you trying to make those posts a reality?
No, I was just sitting in my car, relaxing, minding my business.
And why did you pull your firearm?
Because in the moment, I felt in that moment there was no other way I can get out of this situation. I'm in a situation where I don't know what's going on, and I tried my hardest, and I gave a genuine effort to try to gain an understanding. And I said, what's going on? And after I realized there's a situation outside of my control, I just did what I could to survive the encounter, because I didn't know, how it was going to end for me after I realized, him going for his waistband.
And why was the firearm in your pocket?
Well, when I leave in the morning for work, I get up early, so I always get up and put my firearm. It has a sleeve holster, and I put it in the glove compartment of my car. So as I said before, I was already getting out of my car, and that's one of the first things I grabbed to make sure that I don't forget it in the vehicle. So I grabbed it and I put it in my pocket, and as I was getting ready to get out the car, it was already in my pocket.
And I guess in your mind, how certain were you that you had to react the way you did?
There was nothing else I could do. I was backed in the corner. I tried to leave. I tried my hardest to get an understanding. I seen him reaching for his, where I know that there's, multiple amounts of weapons that could be used to cause, me harm or death. And being in this situation, I'm not sure how people, how other people would react. But in my perception, I felt that this was the only option I have after I had tried everything else. There was no other effort that I could have put into walking away safely. and that was the best thing I could have did to preserve, my being.
1 second, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, I don't have anything else at this time.
Folks, I understand this is a lunch hour, but I think I'd like to keep going. Does anyone need to eat a snack before we keep going or use the restroom? State cross-examination. Can I have Counsel Sidebar just very quickly? State, I already ruled on the marijuana issue, so that no need to repeat that. But what is the next proffer that you had at the sidebar?
Yes, Judge.
You may be seated, thank you.
Mr. Wallace indicated he's never been in this position before, never been in a situation late at night with an officer by himself. There's 17, I said 14, it's 17 other interactions with law enforcement where he either received a notice to appear or was arrested, Judge.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, he's not a convicted felon. As far as impeachment, they can ask him, have you ever been convicted of a felony or a crime, misdemeanor involved in dishonest? When he's talking about, I've never been in this situation, he's talking about, I've never been in a situation where I'm doing nothing wrong, getting out of my car, and I'm backed into a corner. Not that he's never had any interaction with law enforcement in the past. It's all about that. He's never had an incident where something like that had happened, and he felt that his life was in danger. And like I said, they can impeach him on if he's ever been, if he's a convicted felon, how many, and whether or not these are any crimes of dishonesty. But to go into all these other acts as improper character evidence, and they're filed any motion, the Williams rule, and it's.
And Judge, the state normally wouldn't file a Williams rule. We don't know if the defendant's going to testify. And once they open the door, it's fair game for us to address that situation.
His answer gives the inference that he's never had any sort of interaction with law enforcement. That is misleading to the jury. However, to get into 17 specific instances would be overly prejudicial. So unless you can call back your question, I'm not really sure.
I can ask if he's had interaction with law enforcement and he knows how to behave with law enforcement. He's had times where he's been with them and he's behaved appropriately.
Well, that's an open-ended question, which I know he probably doesn't know how to answer that based upon what the limitations are for impeachment. The standard rule for impeachment is, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Have you been convicted of a crime involving the making a false statement or dishonesty? That's normal impeachment. His state of mind is at issue, and he claims that at the time, he'd never been in that situation. So what would your question, proffer your question to me if I was Mr. Wallace?
Yes, sir. Judge, he made a specific statement. He's never been at night in a parking lot or somewhere dark where no one else has been around where law enforcement's interacted him. There's at least 2 or 3 incidences where I would go into it where it was late at night, he was arrested by law enforcement, and everything was fine. And there was no issue. It was one officer who arrested him in that instance. He knows the facts better than I do, Judge. So I would just go into certain instances where you say that you've never been in a situation before with an officer late at night. That's incorrect, isn't that, sir? In fact, on this date at 1:30 in the morning, you were arrested by a law enforcement officer. It was dark at night.
Okay, no, I don't want to let you get into the arrest part. That he had interaction with law enforcement,
Okay.
that the interaction resulted in an amicable or a resolution to the case without resorting to the use of violence. But we're not going to use the words arrest. Certainly, there's no convictions, so, and that just establishes the state of mind at the time.
Yes, sir.
Based upon his answer that he had never been in this situation before.
Yes, sir.
Okay? All right, so, and I don't want you to say the nature of the charge either.
I would not do that.
It's just an interaction
Yes, sir.
with law enforcement before and blah, blah, blah. Okay, anything else that we need to, while the jury's out?
I don't think so, Judge. I mean, if there's something close, I will obviously come sidebar before I do it.
Your Honor, I just asked that he limit his hand as the one he's going to talk about, and I said maybe just because he plays parades around for that.
I'm just organizing the different dates and night times.
I mean, I'll leave that alone, so bring the jury back. Actually, hold that door. Counsel, I don't know, I got a note. I'm assuming it came from a juror. I don't even know who put this in. 73? 33. When we in the room, a lot of the jury discuss the case when we're not supposed to. Please make them understand we cannot do this. It's brief, but it happens. You want me to do anything about it other than to instruct them again?
I would just ask you to instruct me.
I would just ask for another instruction.
Okay. Bring him in, Mike. All rise for the jury. Let me just... You may be seated. Folks, I want to emphasize an instruction that I have given you because there's no gray area to my ruling, okay? You are not to discuss this case at all. That means nothing when you go into the jury room until I allow you to do that. I have to trust that you will follow my instructions, and I'm banking on you that you will follow the rules. So please do not utter any words that relate to anything that happens in the courtroom while you're inside of the jury room, okay? Thank you. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge.
Something became unplugged. You came back. All right, I'll tell you what, do me a favor, just move it just back a little bit. And I really want you to stay at the podium, okay?
Yes, sir.
And if you can X out that, whatever that is.
That's from Zoom itself.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Yes, sir. Mr. Wallace, when Officer Rayner, you keep referring to him as Jason Rayner, you knew he was an officer, right?
I do know he was an officer, yes.
Speak up.
Yes, sir.
Right, so when he approached you, he was in his uniform, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he had a shiny badge?
I didn't notice a shiny badge, but
Okay, I'm sorry.
maybe he had one, but I didn't notice it.
You knew he was a cop, well, a police officer, correct?
Yeah, at some point it became clear to me that
Right.
he was an officer.
Before, even hands-on or anything, you knew he was a police officer, didn't you, sir?
Before he put his hands
Before he
on
put
me,
his hand on you and he stepped around the car and said, "How you doing? Do you live here?" As he approached you, you knew he was a law enforcement officer, didn't you, sir?
I was blinded by the light, so I wouldn't been able to see him until he was in the doorway, and that's when it became clear to me that this is a police officer.
Right. You saw the police car, though, in front of you, didn't you?
I did see the police car.
So policemen usually drive police cars, right?
Yes,
Okay. So it would be apparent to anybody that Officer Rayner was a police officer as he's approaching you, correct?
yes,
And you would agree with me that he asked you, "Do you live here?" And you didn't respond, did you, sir?
I did respond. I asked him what's going on.
Right, you didn't respond with an answer, did you?
My answer was a question. I said, "What's going on?"
Is that how people respond to questions with other questions?
I'm not sure. I can't speak for anybody but myself.
Is that how you talk? So if someone asks you a question, you respond with a question and light on?
And depending on who I'm talking to, and if I feel like, I should answer them without a question, I would just give them an answer.
Right, so you didn't feel like you should have to answer Officer Rayner, did you, sir?
I did feel like I should have to answer him, but the approach was what garnered. It was a natural reaction to just say what's going on. It wasn't a matter of me being defiant towards him.
Isn't it true he asked you several times, "Do you live here?" And none of those times did you answer him, correct?
It is true that he asked me that. Yes.
Right, and none of those times did you answer him.
No, I asked him what's going on. I answered
Right.
him.
And you never said, "Hey, I just live right across the street there," right?
No, I didn't say that. I
Right.
didn't say that.
So you were non-responsive to a law enforcement officer just asking you some questions, correct?
If you put it in that way, I didn't answer his question.
You were evasive, a better word?
No, I was not evasive. I was just simply asking them what's going on. That's what I would ask anybody. If they approach me suddenly, I would just ask them what's going on if I was a bit confused as to why they was in front of me.
So if anybody approached you, you'd respond that way? Not differently with a police officer?
No, I would just respond like that. If it could have been anybody, I could. What's going on? If you just suddenly walk up and you're immediately in my personal space bubble, I would ask you what's going on. Like, are you here to give me? Do you need to tell me a secret, or like what's the need for the close proximity? Is
Correct.
what I'm trying to find out.
Did you ever say, "What's the need for the close proximity"?
No, I asked him what's going on. I think that would have been a more universal way of attempting to get an answer.
After he asked you if you live there, correct?
Yes,
Multiple times, correct?
he did ask me that multiple times.
And he also asked you to sit in the car multiple times, correct?
Yes,
And you didn't listen to him, did you?
no,
Right. But
I did-
You know, you're a security officer, right? Or you went to a security class? You got
Yes.
training, correct?
yes,
And as a security officer, when you were trained, you learned that people are supposed to respond when a person of authority asks them to do something, correct?
When I was a security officer, I never walked up on anybody.
The question is correct, yes or no?
Ask me the question again, please.
When you took this class and you got trained as a security officer,
Mhm.
you learned that people are supposed to respond when a person of authority, a law enforcement officer, or security officer, asks them to do something, correct?
Yes, if it's reasonable.
So in your training, they taught you, you only have to listen to a police officer or a security officer if it's reasonable to the person who's hearing it? That's what you're telling us here?
Hold on, ask me that one more time,
When you went through this training
right?
as a security officer,
Okay.
right? You learned that you're going to give commands to people, and there's an expectation that they would listen to those commands, correct?
Correct.
Right. Yet in this situation, after you received this training, you didn't listen. You didn't respond to the law enforcement officer, did you, sir?
I responded by asking him what is going on.
Right, but he asked you direct questions. You can understand that late at night, right, an officer sees someone in a parking lot and they're patrolling the area, that they might want to make sure that person lives there. You'd agree that's an appropriate thing for a law enforcement officer to do, right?
Yes, I would agree in any other.
Right, you live in that neighborhood, and if there's someone suspicious or someone who may not be there, you want the law enforcement officer to look into that and make a decision and see if that person belongs there, correct?
I would want them to do that if they don't live there.
Right, but how did Officer Rayner know you lived there? You didn't tell him?
I'm a regular resident of the place. I park there every
How
day.
did Officer Rayner, who asked you a direct question, do you live here? How would he know you live there?
He wouldn't have known if I lived there.
Right, because you wouldn't answer him, correct?
I didn't give him an answer as to where I lived. No, I didn't.
Right, because you were being evasive, right? You wouldn't answer any of his questions, correct?
It was not an intention to be invasive.
Okay. Well, when he asked you to sit down, that was evasive. You didn't sit down, did you, sir?
No, I didn't.
Right. In fact, you testified earlier under direct that you had no other option but to kill Officer Rayner that night, correct?
After there would have been a situation where I was pulled on, pushed on, and then where I was back in between the cars and the gate, and then I seen him reaching for his waistband or whatever could have been on his waistband.
We'll get that in a minute, but you testified earlier that you had no other choice but to kill Officer Rayner that night, right?
And after everything else I had tried, that had become the only option that seemed to be.
Did you try turning around and sitting in the car?
Did I try to turn around and sit in the car?
As he asked you to do?
I tried to walk away.
Sir, that's not the question. You said you had no choices. Did you take yourself and sit yourself in the car when a law enforcement officer, who you said, from your training, you know you're supposed to listen to them, asked you to sit in the car?
Well, he was pulling me at that point, so I wouldn't have been able to sit down.
Sir, at that point, he has his hand on your shoulder and he's saying, sit, 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 right? He's not
Right.
pulling you at that point.
No,
You've watched
not-
that video 50 times, correct?
More than that.
Right, and you would agree with me, at the point when he's asking you to sit, 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 he's only pushing you backwards actually to get you to sit down, correct?
Right, but I'm trying to walk away because
But you said you had no choice to do anything else. that
after
night.
everything else I had to do, I tried to do, that had become, that's what seemed to be the only option. But initially, are you asking me, could I have sat down
You
initially?
certainly could have, couldn't you?
Yes.
And you didn't, did you?
No,
Right, and you could have listened to the officer and told him you lived there, couldn't you?
I could have.
Right, but you didn't, did you?
No, because I was trying to get an answer as to what was going on.
Because you wanted to be in control of the situation, sir, correct?
I wanted to know what was going on, most certainly.
You wanted to be in control. You didn't want Officer Rayner to be in control, did you?
It had nothing to do with my efforts of being in control. I just wanted to understand what I was dealing with.
Bro, if they come for me, it's a message to y'all, bro. I'm not gonna back down. Whose words are those?
Those are my words on Instagram.
Your words. About police officers, correct?
No, it's not about police officers.
Really?
Not that message is not pertaining specifically police officers. I was just,
Why don't we get into that then? You sat through the trial, correct?
I've been sitting.
Yes, sir. I'm going to show you what's in evidence as states 45. I'm just going to stand over here, President, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, let's read. One day, I will take great pride and honor in getting me some pig's blood on you. Were you talking about little piglets?
No,
Were you talking about farm animals?
not specifically farm animals.
You were talking about police officers, correct?
Not just people. Not like just. I'm just talking about people that don't see me as human.
What people do you refer to as pigs?
People who don't see me as human.
So, you're going to get pig's blood on my hands and boots. If you can't feel the enemy following me now, I'm going to be healthy for you. I pray against my enemy and I wish death to all. Right? That's your words.
Yeah, but you didn't read it as it's posted.
Right? Well, let's go, but I want to go on. So, if you remember, you had been texting with your friend, right? And your friend actually sent a screenshot of this to you and told you you shouldn't be saying that because you're going to get your account closed down, correct?
He said something to the effect of that, yes, sir.
Yep. In fact, he says, love you, I love you getting banned. That means he's afraid your account's going to get banned by what you're saying, correct?
I'm assuming that's what he was intending to
When
say.
you had a conversation with him,
I said I'm assuming that's what he was getting at.
what did you take it to mean?
I just agreed and said I'm assuming that's what he was getting at.
Right, and you said, fuck these crackers and their power, I'm speaking to them. You didn't care, right?
I'm talking about the people of Instagram who have the power to shut down my Instagram.
Right,
That's what I'm
okay.
talking about.
And then you say, you're right, fam, that's why they're not tagging my old tags. So you were avoiding tagging your old tags on your account, correct? Because you didn't want to get caught.
Caught doing what? I was
You said it. Why I've been not tagging my old tags.
right. Meaning
Right, so you've
saying
been tagging things that were antagonistic and anti-law enforcement, correct?
no. I've been tagging other things that may have been the reason why my Instagram got shut down. It had nothing to do with police officers in specific.
Well, let's talk about that. You say, I'm tagging my old tags, saying too much, bro. I want their blood, for what they've done in Minnie. June, they killed another brother. Who killed a brother in Minneapolis?
There's been various situations that
Who are you referring to?
you talking about. Okay, you have multiple situations.
Mr. Wallace.
Judge, Your Honor, let him answer.
I'm trying
Let me recall.
this way. I can't.
This statement right here was direct to police officers, correct?
No, sir.
Give me one other person in Minnesota who killed someone.
I can't do that. Is over 2 years ago, and can I answer?
Sure.
I made many comments on Instagram about things happening all over the country. I can't say specifically if that message was intended to direct at police officers because it was so much stuff. I commented on a lot of stuff all the time, and I just don't remember specific that being a direct at police officers. So no, I can't agree with you on that.
So, as you sit here today, you're telling this jury that this wasn't in reference to police officers.
No, sir.
And when you say, I hate them, you're just saying, I hate anyone who
I'm talking about.
kills people.
I'm talking about the people. I'm replying to multiple things going on in the text, going on in the chat. If you give me a chance to explain, he writes multiple times, and I'm commenting multiple times. We're having basically a twofold conversation in one chat, and that happens on social media, which when you talking to people. So, and I could have been talking about. When I say I hate them, I'm talking about the people that be shutting down my page.
That's not what it says. If you read the context of it, sir, it says, but I feel 100%. And then you say, fuck these crackers and the power I'm speaking to them.
Yeah, but he also said something about me getting banned.
Is Instagram a bunch of crackers?
I'm not sure if it is, but
You refer to that as law enforcement officers as crackers.
no, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Well, you refer to law enforcement as a case, don't you?
No, sir.
In fact, after you killed Officer Rayner or shot him, you went on Instagram and you posted that I'm not going to let these pigs do anything to me, correct? Stand
Yeah.
up to them.
I said, yes, I did refer to as pigs, but when I say the word pigs, I'm not specifically always talking about police officers.
Who else are you talking about?
I'm talking about people who don't see me as human.
Okay, so when you shot Officer Rayner, you referred to him as a pig, and all the other people as pigs, the officers, correct?
No, not just when I said it again. I'm referring to people who don't see me as human.
Sure. And then you go on and say, I hope they're listening. Fuck them, brother. You just don't know how close I am, bro. Right?
Yeah, I'm talking again. I'm having a twofold conversation about the people who have the power to shut down pages at Instagram.
No. This is about you harming a law enforcement officer because it's in response to pigs and the blood, right? Isn't that correct, sir?
I'm having a twofold conversation in the chat.
Where's the twofold? Yes, sir.
I'm having a twofold conversation in him about the post but I'm also talking about the people who run Instagram. And if you understand how I conversate, that happens with me a lot of times because I'm very expressive when it comes to comments and making, things on Instagram. So that's kind of what's going on in that.
So in this entire conversation, I don't see your alternate conversation here.
You don't see where you're talking about me getting banned from Instagram?
Right. If you read it, it progresses. You were going to get banned because you were posting about killing police officers. And he said, you better watch out. We need you to be out there, bro. We still need you to be around. And then you say, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm going to post what I want to post.
It's not true.
Okay, sir. And then further on your post, you say, I hope they're listening, meaning the police, because who else is going to be listening to you?
I want to ask you, do you know if the police have an Instagram account that they specifically watch my page?
I have no idea, sir.
So how could they be?
Well, why would you write that?
Because Instagram monitors, and I'm frustrated with them. So I'm just referring to them specifically.
So when you say, I hope they're listening, fucking brother, you just don't know how close I am. What, are you close to canceling your Instagram account?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm just frustrated by.
So when you say, bro, if they come for me, it's a message to y'all, I'm not gonna back down. So if they take your stuff down, that's you're gonna cancel your Instagram account?
I'm not, you talking about specifically that. Again, I'm having a twofold conversation. This is over 2.5 years ago when this took place. So when you read the comment, I'm trying to understand the exact context we was having, right? So read it one more time so I can understand which comment you're talking about.
Bro, if they come for me, it's a message to y'all, bro. Let me, sir. And push it. Right here. So when you said, bro, if they come for me, it's a message to y'all, bro, I'm not gonna back down. That was from Instagram?
Was it from Instagram?
No, you weren't gonna back down from Instagram, is that what you're saying?
I was gonna be consistent with continuing to start more accounts. I'm not gonna give up because they cut one account.
Okay. Let's talk about that night. You were possessing a firearm, correct?
Yes,
And you had it concealed in your body, correct?
yes, I did.
Right, and you didn't have concealed weapons permit, did you, sir?
At the time, I had already applied for concealed weapons.
Did you have one at the time of this incident?
No, I didn't.
That's the answer then, thank you. So you were actually not lawfully in possession of that firearm at the time, were you, sir?
It was most definitely mine. I had bought it from a store, and
Were you allowed to possess a concealed firearm
was I allowed to conceal the firearm that I possessed?
and possess it on your body?
Judge, Your Honor, that goes beyond his scope. He's asking for a legal question.
He went to security school and was trained.
Wait.
Yes, sir. You went to security school, right?
Yes,
You learned when you can carry a concealed firearm, didn't you, sir?
yes.
In fact, you were applying for a concealed weapons permit, correct?
I had already applied.
So you went through the process, right?
Yes, I did.
And you didn't have a concealed weapons permit at the time you had that firearm secreted or secreted on your side, correct?
No, I didn't. I didn't have one, but I had assumed that my application had been approved because I already had my license.
You assumed it had approved. You had a license from the state of Florida, a
To
concealed
be,
weapons permit license?
I had a security license.
That's not my question. Did you have a concealed weapons permit license?
No, I didn't.
Right. You knew that you couldn't possess that gun, didn't you, sir?
Again, if you let me answer, I was going to answer that in my previous question. I had assumed that my application had been approved because these licenses, these types of licenses backpack on one another. If you don't have any felonies and you're legally able to possess a gun and you apply for a carry concealed or a G class, then you would normally get, once you get approved for one, the motion of getting approved for others just smoothly like happens. It's not nothing that will prevent you, because once you're deemed able to be a security guard, then you basically meet the other qualifications. And I had assumed that I did already meet those qualifications. So yes,
So you without any notification from the state of Florida, without any paperwork back, knowing you filled it out, which said you have to wait for you to get a license, you just made an assumption that you can carry a concealed firearm?
Yes, I did.
Even though you went through all that training with your security class?
Again, I had made the assumption because I had known the
That's not my
previous
question.
steps of
You
what was
were
going
trained in
on.
the security class of when you could actually possess the firearm. You had to have a concealed weapons permit, correct?
Yes,
Right, you didn't have it.
no,
And you knew what the law was, correct?
yes.
Okay. When Officer Rayner approached you, did you say, I have a gun on me, be careful, here it is, officer, I don't want to cause any concerns?
I never got to answer or conversate with him too much beyond asking my question, and I didn't understand why I didn't get an answer. So I,
Right. Because you didn't answer him.
no, I didn't give him an answer until if I lived there. I asked him what was going on. It wasn't even a effort to pull power. It was just a natural reaction to somebody coming up to me. Ask what happened.
Sure. Let's talk about your training. You have extensive training with firearms, don't you, sir?
Yeah,
You're very proficient with them, you'd agree with me, right?
yes, I would say
You fired them more than 100 times in your life, right?
yes, I have.
At least maybe 1,000, right?
No, I wouldn't say just up to 1,000, but I've fired.
And you've possessed firearms around other people before, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you know how dangerous they are, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
And you know how dangerous they are, correct?
yes,
Right. And you know you only pull them, and you receive that training in your security class if your life is in danger, right? Is that a yes?
yes. I'm sorry, my bad.
Right?
Yes,
And in
sir.
this case, your life wasn't in danger, was it, sir?
Yes, it was.
What danger?
Mr. Rayner had me back between my
When you
car.
call, you mean Officer Rayner, right?
Officer Rayner,
Right, okay. So Officer Rayner, go ahead.
when he had me in between my car, the door, my car, and the car backed up, I had already tried to leave. He had begun to grab me by the back of my shirt, and I was restricted from everything I was trying to do to prevent any physical encounter or misunderstanding between me and him. And I seen him reaching. I began to be in fear that my life would be taken. And this was already my worst fear in the world, in my life.
Sure, let's break that down. So you said it once again. He had you blocked in, right?
Yes,
And all you had to do was sit down, right?
I could have sat down.
But you didn't, did you?
No,
Right, you didn't comply with it.
because I wanted to walk away.
I understand you wanted to walk away, but you could have complied and not got to a point with having used deadly force, correct?
I could have sat down. Yes.
Right, and complied, right?
I can't, yeah,
Right. You'd agree with me, right?
yes.
Right. So this whole situation would have been diffused if you had just listened to the law enforcement officer there, correct?
But I was already
That's
in,
not my question. It could have been diffused if you listened to the law enforcement officer, isn't that correct?
he had already been touching me, so diffusing.
Sir, that's not my question. You said that you had to use deadly force because he's reaching for his weapon, and that only happens because you escalate the situation getting past him. If you had just sat in your car, this would have never happened. You would agree, correct?
I wouldn't say it would never happen because I don't know what was on his mind.
Okay. If you had sat in your car, you would agree with me that Officer Rayner was not going
Judge
to pull out a
Beyonder,
gun.
and asked and answered. Overruled.
You would agree that if you had sat in your car and listened to Officer Rayner, there was no threat upon you at that point, correct?
I wouldn't have perceived any threat.
Correct. Let's talk about this. You're talking about that you have to do this and Officer Rayner grabs you. Isn't it in fact true? Let's go back and watch it. Let's go frame by frame.
Scoot over a little bit. Oh,
How's it going? Do you live here?
How's it going? Do you live here? He asked you two easy questions, right? Didn't respond, right? Let's hear what you say.
Live here?
What's going on?
Sit down. Sit.
Let's look at this picture right here. You testified with your attorney that this was a Swisher Sweet, right?
yes.
Okay. You can see that it looks like a joint too, correct?
I know what it is, but I don't know what you can perceive it as, but it was a Swisher.
Are Swisher Sweets a much bigger cigarette style?
It's a cigar, and I'm at the end of it. I'm at the end of a cigar. So it's,
You would agree that people smoke marijuana in Swisher Sweets, correct?
I don't know what people smoke their marijuana out of. But
Are
I
you saying you
smoke
don't-
cigars.
So you don't smoke marijuana?
No, I have before, but I wasn't smoking marijuana specifically, but I have smoked marijuana before.
Because if you were smoking marijuana at that point, that would provide Officer Rayner an opportunity to arrest you. Right?
Your Honor, again, it calls for a legal conclusion from him.
It goes for whether or not he thought the officer could have arrested him.
Ask me the question again, sir.
If that was a marijuana cigarette, do you think Officer Rayner could have arrested you?
If it was a marijuana cigarette,
That's the question.
I don't know what he could have done if I don't know what he
Do
could
you know
have
if that's a crime around smoking marijuana?
Am I aware of it? Yes, I know it's illegal in some places because at this point people have license for it. It's legal and medical marijuana is legal. I'm not sure.
Do you have a medical marijuana card?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it wouldn't be legal for you, right?
No, but I wasn't smoking marijuana.
Okay. So you're saying this is the end of your cigar?
That's the butt end of my cigar because it's
Why do you try and conceal it when Officer Rayner comes up there?
it's visibly out. I didn't try to conceal nothing.
Well, let's watch and look at your phone.
How's it going? Do you live here?
What's going on?
Do you live here?
Why you asking what's going on?
So let's just go a little frame by frame. You see it right there in your hand initially? You see you're pulling your phone?
My phone was sliding out of my lap.
I understand what you're saying, sir, but you see you're putting your phone and it seems like you're concealing?
I didn't conceal nothing. I just was dropping my hands.
Okay. So in this instance, Officer Rayner has his arm on you, correct? And he's just asking you because you're getting out coming toward him. He's just making
I was
space.
just standing up.
Right. You agree he's not grasping you here, right? He's just making
Your Honor, I
this decision.
object. Best evidence. They've been carrying on about that. You can watch the video.
The one who was there. You would agree right here, he's not grabbing you, he's just pushing you to make distance, right?
There was no way to make distance. I was just standing up.
There was no way to make distance because you were approaching toward the law enforcement
I
officer.
was just standing up on my car.
Okay, but then he said, sit with this light little tap, and you didn't sit, right?
No, I didn't. I just continued to stand.
Yes, sir. You've never met Officer Rayner before, correct?
I didn't even know who he was.
Right. No interaction with him before?
No, sir.
You know how to act with a law enforcement officer, though, correct?
Yes.
And you know that if there's something that they do illegal, the place to challenge it is in the court system, correct?
Did I know that law?
Based on your security training.
They don't teach you that law in security training. I don't get police training and security training. They give me security training to be a security officer, not necessarily police officer. We don't learn the statutes of how police conduct themselves.
So as you sit here today, you didn't know that you can fight in court if there's something the officer does that you think is wrong?
I know that you can make complaints and you can file a civil claim, but I didn't. To this degree, there was nothing.
Let's talk about this body camera.
I'm
Sorry.
There was nothing I would have done to. I mean, there was nothing I would have been thinking about because there's nothing necessarily initially making me, want to take him to court. He hadn't.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, at this point.
Right.
At
He's
this
just
point.
asking you to comply. He did nothing wrong.
And I was trying to walk away.
You weren't complying though, were you?
I hadn't done nothing wrong
How do you know?
because I've been sitting in my car.
What if he had a report that you were a suspicious individual? Does he have to relay that to you right away?
He would have
Objection calls for speculation.
This video right here that we've watched multiple times, you would agree that that's the complete interaction with you and Officer Rayner, correct?
to my knowledge.
You were there. Was there any other interaction?
No, I've never had any interaction.
That's not my question. Your defense team is making a big deal about 30 seconds of the video before. Was there any interaction with you and Officer Rayner prior to what we see on this body camera here?
No.
No, so this body camera is a fair depiction of your entire encounter with Officer Rainey, do you agree?
I'm not sure if he's seen me or
That's,
anything.
the question is, your entire encounter with him is all recorded on the body camera, correct?
To my knowledge.
Well, is there any other part of the interaction that's not codified here?
What I'm saying is, I don't know if he has seen me and I didn't know he was there. I don't know.
That's not, okay. Your interaction, your speaking, communicating, and interacting with Officer Rayner,
Yes,
it
sir.
is all on this video that we watched, correct?
Again, to my knowledge.
Well, you keep saying that, but I don't understand what that means.
Because I don't know if there's something else somewhere else that I was never made privy to.
Are you aware, you were there that night, right?
Yes, I.
Is there any conversations, any interactions before this video starts with you and Officer Rayner?
Not with me in him.
But, so your entire interaction, you, Oath of Wallace,
Mhm.
Officer Rayner, right, the entire interaction
As far as I
is
know.
on this video.
Allow him to finish one at a time.
You would agree, it's all on the video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. After you shot Officer Rayner, did you call 911 to report that someone was shot and they need an ambulance?
No, I didn't.
Right, and you could have just called anonymous, couldn't you?
No, well, yeah, I could have.
Right.
I was so, there was a lot of adrenaline going on, a lot of emotions, and I was too afraid to have any further interaction with another police officer or the force period because I didn't know how it would go, given that this one didn't go
Sure.
at.
So you could have called anonymously, right? And you could have reported, there's an officer being shot behind 133, right? Get an ambulance there.
When you say anonymous, I mean, I couldn't have called I know the police record, and I was afraid to have any further interaction with a police officer or the force,
Because you just unlawfully killed Officer Rayner.
because I just had a situation where I had to defend myself. I didn't necessarily know if Mr. Officer Raymond was dead or not.
But you just shot him and you didn't call any help for him.
I did have to shoot him, but I didn't make it, like I say, I was afraid to call anybody.
You're claiming self-defense. You live right across the street in 133. Why didn't you run in there, lock the door, call the police, tell them Officer Rayner's been shot, get an ambulance here, it was an accident, I didn't mean to do it, or was I self-defense, I need someone to respond. You didn't do that, did you, sir?
No, I didn't.
Instead, what you did is you fled, correct?
Yeah, I did.
You're right. And you actually drove up to Jacksonville in the car you were in already, right?
Yes.
Okay? But you didn't go right to Georgia at that time, did you, sir?
I was basically driving around aimlessly because I was afraid.
Instead, though, what you did is you called your dad and said, I need a new car, because you wanted to disappear,
The
right?
first thing I said on the phone with my dad, I'm not sure if he remembered, but I told him I was scared and that a cop had got shot.
But you didn't tell your dad, I had to shoot in self-defense, did you?
I didn't go into why or anything. I just
Right.
told him that it happened.
But you didn't, when you drove up to Jacksonville, you had an opportunity, you know Jacksonville goes straight to Georgia, right? You've been to Georgia many times.
Yeah, Jacksonville on 95, you could go there.
Right, so you could have taken the vehicle that you killed the police officer in, that you were driving, and you could have stayed in it on your way to Georgia, correct?
Yeah, but I was too afraid to.
You were too afraid because you were trying to cover your tracks, right?
No, I was too afraid that if I was seen in the vehicle, that I automatically get shot and killed and never have an opportunity to have this day.
Why not just drive to the police station, walk inside where you know they have cameras, say, I'm the one who did it, please, I need you my side of the story.
At that moment, those are the very people I was scared for my life from.
So you think if you walked into a police station where they've got cameras, all these officers, that they're gonna rush at you and just shoot you on camera there?
I didn't know how it would go by me trying to explain what took place. So I was afraid.
Right, and then in fact, you went all the way to Gainesville, right? To get a different car.
I went over to Gainesville, yeah, and I called and
And you backed your car in, right? At Home Depot. You didn't just pull it in regular, right?
backing in is just like a normal way that I park.
Or it's also a way to avoid someone seeing your license plate, correct?
I mean, it could be for somebody else, but it's just the normal way I park.
Sure. So after you just shot a police officer, you were just thinking, well, let me make sure I back in. Let me take a little more effort, back the car in, just make sure. Not trying to get out of there quickly, I'm just gonna take the extra time to back the car. That's what you're saying?
Backing in is like a forced habit because that's just what I'm used to. I back in at work, I back in at home. It's just kind of how it happens.
You cut your hair after, didn't you, sir?
Yes, I did.
Right, to avoid detection, correct?
The reason I cut my hair is because I was afraid that if I got identified, I would be killed without question.
Right. Once again, you could have went to any police station among hundreds that you passed your way to Georgia, but you didn't stop anything.
No.
You didn't call the news media and say, hey, I just had self-defense with a police officer. I need you to come with me when I turn myself into the police, don't kill me, right?
I didn't consider that as an option.
Instead, you went all the way to Georgia, right? And you go up in a treehouse, correct? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you have an AK-47 style weapon up there with you, correct?
Yes.
500 rounds of
Beyond
ammo.
the scope of direct.
500 rounds of ammo, correct?
I don't know the specific round count that was.
And you're hiding out there, correct?
I'm just scared, and I'm staying where I feel safe
Right.
until I can figure out how to bring myself to the law.
You would agree Officer Rayner was polite and courteous to you, correct?
No.
You don't think he was polite and courteous?
When he asked the question, but are you talking about verbally or
Verbally, he was polite and courteous to you.
initially?
Yeah, and then you wouldn't answer his questions, right?
No.
Okay, even though he was polite and courteous to you.
But I asked him a polite and courteous question.
Don't you think most importantly when someone asks you a question, you respond first and then you ask the question after that?
In normal communication, but I was confused, and I asked him a question out of a natural reaction. It wasn't like a casual conversation we was having. I just asked him a question as a natural reaction.
Sure. Let's talk about this struggle that you say ensues. So tell me how long it takes for you and Officer Rayner to struggle and you pull your gun and shoot him. You went through this long thing that took a long time when you were down here describing it. Describe it to us.
I was just describing motion by motion.
Right, let's hear it.
When it happened, when he started to force me back and push and pull and twist, there was obviously a struggle, you know.
Well, you didn't respond. You actually were not moving and getting away from him until he called on the radio, correct?
I had already tried to walk away twice.
Right, but I do, sir. And on the radio, it's when he calls for other officers, or he's getting on his radio, and he says, Charlie 77, and you say, no, back up, man. Don't you, sir?
That's when I reasserted my effort to leave.
You reasserted your effort and pushed Officer Rayner out of the way, didn't you, sir?
He was already pulling and twisting me.
You pushed him out of the way to get away from him.
I held my forearm out. That's what I did.
Sir, you pushed him away. Right, let's see. Right, he's trying to have you comply, and you pushed yourself away. You would agree that using force against a law enforcement officer, even your forearm, that is a form of a battery, right?
I held my forearm
Actually, Your
out.
Honor, again, he's asking him to draw a legal conclusion.
Yes, sir. You're aware you can't resist police officers with force, can you?
Yes.
Judge, Your Honor, again, he's asking for serious.
You're aware you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
You're aware you can't touch police officers or hit them, correct?
I never touched him. He was coming towards me, and he already had me. So I was trying to create a space where I could walk between the door and him, and I just held my forearm out. The reason I held my forearm out is so that nothing would get misunderstood about me being aggressive towards him. I didn't want him to perceive me as any form of aggressive, because that's why I held my forearm out.
Based on your training in the security class and in your other, maybe training you've had, you would agree by pushing a police officer and trying to get past them, that's not appropriate for someone who the police officer is trying to talk to, correct?
I never pushed him. I just held my forearm out. I just held it out.
And you touched him with it.
I didn't intend. He was already on my arm.
Okay,
so
let's
I
run through the
didn't
seconds.
like force. I didn't like do any motion like that. I just held it out to try to get around the door in the space between him and the door.
Where was the gun?
At this moment,
Yes.
it was already in my pocket because I was
Which pocket?
the right pocket.
And where was it in a holster?
Yes.
Okay. So you had a gun in your holster, in your pocket.
Mhm.
You agree with me, is that right?
Yes.
Correct? And tell me how much time it took from when Officer Rayner grabbed you till you shot him.
I can't specifically. I would have to reference.
I don't want you to watch the video. I want you to tell me from your memory.
It's two and a half years ago. So whether it took a couple seconds, or are you mean by seconds or like milliseconds? I don't know how specific
Here's
you
what I
intend
want
to be here.
Here's what I want you to do. You told me that you and Officer Rayner are chest to chest or a tussle. I assume for a couple seconds, is that correct?
Well, he's pulling on me. He's pulling me towards him and
For how long?
It happened for a good few amount of seconds. So it took
A good few amount, more than 10?
just about.
Okay, so you're tussling for about 10 seconds, you'd agree with me, correct?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
I don't want to agree because I don't know specifically if it was 10 seconds or 8 seconds or 9.5 seconds. So I'm trying not to, I don't want to be time specific because I can't remember the amount of seconds.
Let's give you the benefit of the doubt. 8 or more seconds.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, you'd agree 8 or more seconds that you're tussling at first with him, correct?
That he's pulling on me and
Right, pulling on you after he cues up on his Charlie 77 and he's still grabbing you here. And then there's another at least 8 seconds where you're face to face. Not on the video here, but it has to be off video because we don't see you face to face here, correct?
I would say we're pretty face to face.
Are you including your time in this one right here? Because all he has is his hand. Let's go forward.
Can you sit down? I'll talk to you. Stop.
Okay, come on now.
Okay, so are you talking about this? He's tussling with you?
I mean, that's what I was meaning when I said he was pushing pulling on me.
He was just directing you to try and have you sit down, correct?
I just tried to walk away from him when I stood up.
But that's not a response to my question.
Okay.
He's telling you at this point, please just sit down. Sit down and I'll talk to you, right?
Yes.
Right. You didn't listen, right?
No.
And he's got a hand here and a hand here trying to direct you back into the car, correct?
He's pushing me into the car.
Into the car, right? He's not using excessive force on you at this time, right?
I'm beginning to get scared, so
Did you scream for help from anyone in the community?
scream.
Help!
It's in the back of the parking lot. Everybody's in the house. There's nobody outside.
You saw the video before how all those people in body cam came running out after Officer Randall shot, right?
A gunshot is way louder than my ability to scream.
You don't think you could scream loud enough for help there?
I probably could, but I would have to continually scream,
But you didn't, did you?
and I wouldn't get enough help to be able to dissolve this situation.